has helped me because I have learned a way to work with young people. I wanted to build a relationship with them rather than break the relationship.
We ended up having, a very in-depth conversation about where he was, the sort of things that he was interested in, the sort of things that he wanted to do. And I'd say that singularly, that was one of the most beneficial things that came out of it.
I think in the end he was sorry. I mean, I have spoken to him since, not mentioned it. I've passed him in the street and I said hello and he said hello back. And, his head's down. So he probably feels a bit ashamed of what he did. Probably it made him realise that you can't do it.
Professional judgment is about decision making. It's about our staff drawing upon their skills and experience and then using their discretion and common sense to do the right thing. Restorative justice is about the victim and offender coming together to deal with any crime or incident. It's really about victims being given some control and choice over how we as the police will deal with their crime.
Basically, some of the children in the village had reported that the bench had received some damage. When I came onto the park to have a look, the top had been completely prized off, so it had meant that somebody had come in and taken some bolts out with an Allen key, and one of the seats had been completely smashed. So, as you can see, it's quite substantial. It would have taken an awful lot of effort in order to inflict that sort of damage. And it just seemed pretty willful. We did have a pretty good idea of who was involved, but we wanted them to take responsibility. We wanted them to realise that, we thought that they would just be doing it because they were a bit bored that night. But we wanted them to take responsibility to realise that there were consequences to them inflicting this sort of damage on what they considered to be somebody else's property.
At times it will be entirely appropriate for us as the police service to arrest and prosecute offenders, take them through the courts where they can be appropriately punished. However, very often all victims want is some form of apology, compensation, maybe some reparation in the community to put things right and allow them to move on.
I really wanted to take them make them responsible. I really wanted to have police involvement because it gives a sort of, gravitas to the situation, but I wouldn't have wanted them to have gone through the criminal justice system on the basis of the damage that they'd done. I felt that there needed to be something before that, and I think that's where this system just works brilliantly. Within 2 weeks, we'd actually had the children come in. We'd had one of the parents come in and they'd actually done the physical repairs to the bench that needed to happen. And then the children came in and we had all three of them involved in putting the bench, back together and then refinishing it. And, each of them took a significant amount of time to do that.
Well, there was a young man who had an allotment at the back of me. He had got mental health issues and, learning disabilities really. And he just went crazy, basically. He went up and he'd smashed things up. He took the doors off my shed and broken into my shed and kicked the fence in. And it wasn't anything to do with me. Whatever had triggered it, I would never found out, but he wouldn't stop.
Our aim is to go to a crime and look at it. And officers have all been trained to use their professional judgment. And we'll work with the victim. So first of all, our ultimate aim is to ask the victim, it's your crime. Actually, how would you like it resolving? What actions would you like to see taken?
Well, she came out to have a look at the damage, the PC did, and she said that that they've got this new project where instead of being arrested, because I didn't want him arrested, I just wanted him to stop, to repair the damage. And I thought that was a good idea. And so she went to see him and he had to repair the damage. And she did say to him, if he did anything else, then she would arrest him. And he did repair the damage and he didn't do anything else.
We were running a youth club over here. Every week we run 1 day a week in this centre. The youth club was running and it was raining very heavily. One of the young person just went outside and started "You're Taliban and you are going to bomb this place. I'm going to bomb this place," which was very shocking because I was just on the other side of the door. And then I said, "Can you come in and not keep shouting from there?" And he says, he kept shouting and he just laughed at what I said. I said, said, see, what you're doing is racism, and I can take you on racism. And he thought I was just joking, and he didn't realize that it was a serious matter. So I just shut the door and I said, all right, you're not allowed to come in the club until you sort yourself out. But then again, he was keeping shouting, so I had to inform the police, and the police came in, and then the discussion was done with the police, and we both decided, rather I took a decision that I didn't want the young person to go to court, but I want him to write an apology letter. I was really shocked when the police came and told me that you have two options, because from my side, when I called the police, I thought they'll take the action themselves. I won't be involved in it, like what decisions they have to take. But when he asked me what would I like to do, it was really surprising, and I was really pleased, because I was scared when the police came in case the young person would be in problem, like going to court, because that is a normal idea I had, that he will directly go to court. But this option given to me and my hand in this decision was really great, and I think it's very helpful to ask for the victims what would they want to do, rather than the police taking it in their own hand and making a decision.
I went outside to go and get ready for go to work, and my back window on the car had been smashed and it was shattered everywhere. My mum rang the police straight away, and someone on the street come to tell me that they knew who'd done it, and they'd witnessed it happen because it was a woman who lived next door. So I went round to their house and nobody answered, so I left it for a bit and spoke to the police. I think it was about an hour or so later I went back round and spoke to the person who'd done it, and he admitted to doing it. And then the police come round the same day and asked me what I wanted to do, and obviously I didn't want to go to court or anything like that because he'd admitted to doing it, and then he agreed to pay the excess for my insurance to fix the window, and that was it really. He come that night with the £50 excess that I had to pay, and the window got fixed the next morning.
It's like a quick fix, if you like. They appreciate that they haven't got lots and lots of time spent, and they haven't got loads of statements to write, and provided it is a minor thing, and they're very well up for it.
So I think if we had gone to court and had to do a statement, I think it would have made things a lot worse. The atmosphere, with it being a neighbour as well, I think it would have made things a lot harder.
I got a call on my data, and I went to James White pub in Alveston to pick up the fare. 3 people, 3 men, jumped into the car, drove off. When they came to their destination, they paid the money, and one of the gentlemen walked out of the car. I could see him through my side window that he was doing something to the car. I realized that he'd broken the aerial off. As I realized he'd taken the aerial off, I got out of the car, asked him, "What are you doing with my aerial?" He didn't say a word, but he chucked it on the floor in somebody's garden. So I picked it up again, walked towards the car, asked his friend, "What have I done? Why has he done that to me?" One of them walked away again, and one of them just stood there. And he said to me, "Don't you know who I am?" I said, "I don't know who you are, but what's this?" And that's when he became very abusive and told me, "Fuck off, you Paki." And he swung a punch at me, which he caught me on a chin slightly. And that's when I jumped into the car and called the police. Well, they gave me option. They were very good, very cooperative, very informative. Told me that if the gentleman paid for the aerial, the one who did the aerial, "Are you happy with that?" And I said yes, which he did pay, and apology letter. He did write apology letter, and he paid for the labour and the cost of burial, which was £50, which I was happy with. And the other gentleman, I think police charged him, well, I know police charged him for racial abuse.
What we've asked our staff to do is to deliver this on the force values: integrity and respect for what victims want. Performance, recognise performance is still important, and that we won't increase public confidence in communities riddled with serious crime. We still need to concentrate on reducing crime and prosecuting offenders where appropriate, but allowing them to use their innovation and then take responsibility for what they've done.
They told me that they were introducing this new law. Are you happy with that? And I said yes, especially in that gentleman's case, who was 28-year-old, 25 or 28-year-old lad. But he never said nothing to me. He wasn't abusive to me. He wasn't threatening to me. He just broke the ordeal. I was happy in a sense that he won't get a criminal record. It was perhaps one of those one-off things that he did. But the other gentleman who went to the court, I think he needed that treatment, what he got.
The Professional Judgment and Restorative Justice Project was introduced in April of this year to Derbyshire Police, and I think it's a fantastic tool in the criminal justice system to give an option for victims to give some more of a say of how their crime is dealt with. The offender's got to be appropriate and the crime's got to be appropriate to fall under the category, but they really have some control and choice how it's dealt with.
I recently had an involvement for restorative justice when it first came in. I arrested 2 young lads, 16-year-olds, for graffiti. But at the time, I thought I can use restorative justice as an alternative way of dealing with them. I spoke to all the injured parties, council and the timber merchants whose wall they had graffitied. And they were both parties were very happy that I could do this and I could use a different method of dealing with it.
We got them to do a litter pick down at the skateboard park, because they were skateboarders anyway, in front of all the mates, and that, they found that quite embarrassing, to say the least.
Some people do see it as a soft option. However, once it's explained to them, and I think normally that's when they don't fully understand restorative justice. However, myself and my colleagues do have restorative justice packs we hand out to people and explain the system in its entirety. Once they understand restorative justice, they understand the process.
If I'd have taken this down the normal criminal justice route, it would have taken a lot longer to deal with it. And it would have criminalised 2 young lads who were, in general, not bad lads at all.
I think job satisfaction-wise, it lets officers, particularly in the safe neighbourhood role, it gives them a lot more time to do the role they should be doing, which is a lot of the engagement activities, the high visibility patrol, which is what members of the public want to see, all the police surveys and police authority surveys I've been involved in. That's one of the main points from members of the public, is the visibility of officers. I think restorative justice allows us to do that, spend a lot less time within the criminal justice process for low-level offending, and a lot more time doing what the officers want to do and what the public want the officers to do. So overall it helps increase morale, I think.
I've been a cop now for 18 months, so I joined with restorative justice, and I can't see how officers dealt day to day without it in the past.